This week on Africa Weekly, we meet some of the Central African Republic's returned expatriates who have managed to set up profitable livelihoods after returning to their country, despite it being one of the poorest in the world. And we track the growth of the African video gaming industry following the global success of a Cameroonian game. But first, a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. The government of the Central African Republic and 14 armed groups inked a new peace accord on Tuesday with the aim of ending years of fighting that has left thousands of people dead and more than 1 million displaced. Meeting in the Sudanese capital Khartoum, representatives from militias, which control most of the chronically troubled country, and President Faustin Archange Touadéra initialed the agreement. The accord, which was signed the following day in Bangui, was brokered by the African Union after 18 months of exploratory work and sponsored by the UN. It is the 8th attempt in almost 6 years to forge peace in a country stricken by turmoil and poverty. Somalia's Al-Shabaab militants shot dead the Maltese manager of a major port in the semi-autonomous Puntland state on Monday before detonating a car bomb in the capital that killed 9 others. The president of Puntland state, Sayed Abdullahi Deni, decried the killing.
The killing of Paul today is not only an assassination of a port manager, it's like a mass killing against the people of Puntland as well. It is intended to tear down the development, the economy and reputation of the state.
The attack was claimed by the Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Shabaab group, which claimed it was part of broader operations targeting the mercenary companies that loot Somali resources. The Dubai-based ports company P&O Ports has sparked friction with Mogadishu over its development of ports in Berbera in breakaway Somaliland, whose independence is not recognized, as well as Puntland. In Thursday's annual State of the Nation address, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that general elections would take place on May 8th. The ruling ANC party will face the centralist Democratic Alliance and radical left Economic Freedom Fighters parties. Despite dipping in the polls, the ANC is tipped to win the parliamentary election with around 60% of the vote. Ramaphosa sought to strike an optimistic tone and said South Africans were now much more hopeful after he took over 1 year ago from his scandal-tainted predecessor, Jacob Zuma.
A year ago, we set out on a path of growth and renewal, emerging from a period of uncertainty and a loss of confidence and trust. We resolved to break with all that divides us, to embrace all that unites us. We resolved to cure our country of the corrosive effects of corruption and to restore the integrity of our institutions.
Democratic Republic of Congo opposition politician Martin Fayulu held a rally in Kinshasa on Saturday. Fayulu, who stood against Felix Tshisekedi in the country's recent presidential election, claims he in fact won the vote.
I have no personal problems with Felix Tshisekedi. He's my brother, so I have no problem with him. It is not so much him, it is those who appointed him, those who want to go against the will of the people. So what I'm saying is, first we need the truth from the ballot boxes.
On his first trip abroad since being sworn in, President Tshisekedi defended his disputed election victory as he visited neighboring Angola.
Nous avions notre centrale électorale.
We had our electoral center that had collected data, and we even compared them with results the Catholic Church said they gathered to show that we had worked on the preparation of our victory.
Pour démontrer que nous avions travaillé sur la préparation de notre victoire.
Campaigning for Senegal's presidential election officially kicked off this week. The February 24th vote will see President Macky Sall face off against 4 rival candidates, including rising opposition MP Ousmane Sonko. Incumbent Sall is running for a second term after defeating Abdoulaye Wade in 2012.
Clement Ndatizo and Auguste Ogula have very different lives, but have one thing in common. They're both successful repats, citizens of the Central African Republic who once emigrated, but have decided to return, despite the country's instability.
When I came back, other Central Africans I knew in Paris said I was crazy.
In France, Clement struggled to get his security business up and running, but upon his return to Bangui in 1993, he set up a business that went on to become one of the country's largest. The decision to move back helped him on his path to becoming an elected member of parliament.
No regrets, because when I see what's going on in France with the yellow vests and all that, it was just the right choice to come home.
Auguste Ogula came back in 2008 on holiday. A decade later, he's still here.
It was when I arrived that I became aware of the opportunities, of everything you can do in this country.
Auguste has racked up various successful ventures since his return, including a fish farm, a music bar, and a bakery. He's keen for other Africans to return home.
Right now, we're losing a lot of talent, a lot of brains, if I can put it that way. I met a lot of people that were skilled here and got lost in the crowd in Europe because the competition is much more intense than it is in Africa.
With less competition and more opportunity, it can almost seem like an easy choice to make, but there are also drawbacks to returning to the Central African Republic. It is still one of the world's poorest countries, and beset by frequent sectarian violence.
It is a game that has put Africa on the map in the global video games industry. Orion, the legacy of Choreo Dawn, developed by Cameroonian company Kiro Games, has taken off with gamers around the world. It's an impressive achievement for a country where there is virtually no formal training for games developers.
We wanted to show the world a little bit of African culture, but also show the world that in Africa you can do something of international quality. Because we didn't just want to make a game, we thought we should make a game that would be recognized internationally in terms of quality.
Hailed by critics, the game has sold tens of thousands of copies. But Orion still remains an exception. At the Abidjan Video Games Festival in November, many games were still lacking African characters.
Africa has a very beautiful history, but we haven't really explored that history. I think video games will be a perfect way to use this culture, this history we have here.
Video game developers across the continent are beginning to work together and holding events such as the Africa Games Week in Cape Town this month.
It's possible for Africa to ride the wave of mobile gaming because there is potential. There's already a market and there's a population that's available and can play on these phones.
Cheaper to produce, mobile games could be the future of an industry that is already worth $310 million in Africa.
The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities on Saturday announced the discovery of more than 40 mummies at a burial site in central Egypt, dating to the Ptolemaic era. The mummies, including adults, children and animals, had been laid on the floor or in open clay coffins in a crumbling underground chamber in Minya Governorate. While mummification is mostly associated with ancient Egypt, the practice continued under the kingdom founded by Ptolemy, a successor to Alexander the Great, which lasted from 323 BC to 30 BC. And staying in Egypt, on a visit to the Alexandria Stadium on Tuesday, the Confederation of African Football said it is confident that the host country will be ready to stage this year's Africa Cup of Nations, despite limited preparation time. Egypt was awarded the hosting rights in January, following the decision to strip Cameroon of the finals due to delays in preparation. That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.